My father told me to step aside for his favorite son. Walk away if you don't like it, he said. I did. He regretted it within weeks. My father looked me in the face and told me to step aside for my brother. When I asked why, he said, because I said so. Walk away if you don't like it. So I walked away. And within 3 weeks, my father realized that everything he thought my brother could handle had actually been held together by me the entire time. My brother Owen is 2 years younger. He's the one my dad always saw himself in. Same build, same voice. Dad coached Owen's baseball team, went to every game, every awards night. He put Owen's trophies in the living room and talked about him like he was destined for something great. I played soccer. Dad never came to a single game. When I graduated with honors, he showed up late and spent dinner talking about Owen making varsity. I learned early that nothing I did would change the ranking, so I stopped trying to earn it and just focused on being useful. And that's the thing about being the unfavorite. You become the reliable one. You become the one who handles things quietly while everyone else gets the attention. After high school, I went to trade school for HVAC. I got certified, got a job, and started saving money. By 24, I had a decent truck and a full client list. By 26, I was running my own small operation with 2 guys working under me. Dad never once asked how the business was going. Owen went to college for 2 years, dropped out, and moved back home. He bounced between a car dealership and a restaurant, then stopped working entirely. Dad kept saying he was finding himself. When he was 24 and I was 26, Dad asked me to give Owen a job. I said fine. I brought him on as a helper. He showed up late his first week. He argued about crawl space work because he didn't want to get dirty. He left a job site early without telling anyone. I told him if he wanted to work with me, he had to actually work. He told Dad I was being too hard on him. Dad called me. Go easy on your brother. He's not used to that kind of work. Nobody's used to it. You learn. Just give him the easier jobs. I'm not paying someone to ride along, Dad. I kept Owen on for 3 months. He improved a little, but never enough. When I told Dad it wasn't working, he said, you're not giving him a real chance. Then last fall, Dad decided to renovate the rental property he owns on the east side of town. It's a duplex he's had for 15 years. He wanted to update both units and raise the rent. He asked me to manage the renovation. I said I'd do it. I lined up a plumber, an electrician, and a drywall crew. I drew up a budget. I scheduled inspections. I ordered materials. 3 weeks of planning on my own time, unpaid, because it was for Dad. Then one morning, Dad called and said Owen was going to manage the project instead. Owen doesn't know how to manage a renovation. He needs the experience. I want him to learn. Then let him learn on something small. This is a $40,000 job. I've already told him. He's excited about it. What about all the planning I did? He can use your notes. My notes. 3 weeks of work and you're handing it to Owen. Don't make this a competition. Step aside and let your brother have this. Walk away if you don't like it. So I walked away. Not just from the renovation, from everything. I told Dad I was done managing his property, done giving Owen work, and done volunteering my time for someone who treats me like the backup option. He laughed. You're being dramatic. You handed my work to Owen without asking. You told me to walk away. I'm walking. He stopped laughing. I didn't mean it like that. You meant it exactly like that. I hung up. I pulled Owen off my crew the next day. I stopped going to Sunday dinners. I didn't answer Dad's calls about the duplex. I was done. Owen started the renovation 2 weeks later. Within 5 days, he'd already messed up the material order. He ordered the wrong size subflooring for the upstairs unit. The plumber I'd lined up called me to ask why Owen was trying to renegotiate the price I'd already locked in. The electrician walked off the job after Owen told him to skip the permit process to save money. By week 3, Owen had blown through half the budget with almost nothing to show for it. Dad called me. I picked up. The renovation's behind schedule. Owen's in over his head. I know. Can you come take a look? No. I'm asking for help. You told me to walk away. I was wrong. You were. But that doesn't change anything. You gave my work to Owen because you wanted him to shine. Now you're calling me because he can't. That's the pattern, Dad. Owen gets the spotlight and I get the cleanup. He was quiet for a long time. What do? Hire a general contractor. Pay them what the job is worth and stop expecting me to do it for free. He did hire someone. The renovation ended up costing $58,000, almost 20 more than my original budget. Owen quit halfway through and stopped answering Dad's calls. The duplex was finished in January. Dad rented both units out, but the margins are thin now because of the overruns. He called me last week. He didn't ask about the renovation. He asked about my business. First time in my life. I told him things were good. He said, I should have paid more attention. I said, yeah, you should have. We talked for 11 minutes. It's the longest conversation we've ever had. At Thanksgiving, my uncle joked he'll probably ask for leftovers. I just laughed. Then my sister's boyfriend walked in, saw me, and froze. He whispered, that's him. My aunt dropped her drink. My family thinks I'm broke. I let them think that. I drive a 2011 truck. I wear the same rotation of plain shirts. I live in a house that looks small from the outside because it's set back on 5 acres, and nobody in my family has ever been invited over to see the rest of it. I'm 31. I started a software company when I was 24 with a friend from college. We sold it 2 years ago. I won't say the exact number, but I never have to work again. I kept working anyway because I like what I do. I just don't talk about it. My family wouldn't understand, and honestly, they don't deserve to know. My dad left when I was 11. My mom raised me and my sister Wendy on her own. Mom's side of the family never let me forget I was the son of the man who walked out. My uncle Ron made jokes about me my entire life. He'd call me the charity case at Christmas. When I got into college, he said, let's see how long that lasts. When I dropped out to start the company, he told my mom she raised a quitter. Nobody in my family took me seriously. Not once. I stopped explaining myself years ago. I just showed up to holidays in my truck, brought a dish, sat in the corner, and let them talk. This Thanksgiving was at my Aunt Linda's house. Same house every year, same people, same comments. I walked in and Ron was already in the kitchen holding a beer. He looked at me and said right on time, he'll probably ask for leftovers before we even sit down. Everyone laughed. Linda laughed. My mom gave me a look like just ignore him. Wendy wasn't there yet. She'd been dating a new guy for about 6 months. Nobody had met him. She told the family his name was Kevin and he worked in tech. That's all anyone knew. I sat in the living room with my plate and watched football. Ron came in and sat across from me. Still working at that little computer thing? I said, yeah, still at it. He shook his head. You know my buddy's shop is hiring. Actual work. Honest money. I said I'll keep that in mind. He leaned back. I'm just saying, you're 31. At some point you gotta stop playing around and get a real job. You can't live off your mom forever. I don't live with my mom. I haven't since I was 18. He waved his hand. Same difference. About 20 minutes later, the front door opened. Wendy walked in with Kevin. I'd never met him either. I didn't know what he looked like, but the second he stepped into the living room and saw me, he stopped. Dead stop. His face went white. He looked at Wendy, then back at me. Then he whispered loud enough for the room to hear. That's him. Wendy looked confused. That's who? Kevin pulled out his phone. He opened an article and turned it to the room. It was a profile piece from a tech magazine. My face. My name. The headline was about the acquisition of my company. The number was in the article. Kevin looked at me. You're Wendy's brother? Your brother built and sold the platform my entire company runs on. My team talks about him like he's a legend. The room went dead silent. Linda was holding a glass of wine. It slipped out of of her hand and shattered on the kitchen tile. Nobody moved to clean it up. Ron was staring at me from across the room. His beer was halfway to his mouth. He hadn't blinked. My mom looked at me. Her eyes were wet. You sold your company? I said, yeah, Mom, 2 years ago. Why didn't you tell me? Because nobody ever asked what I actually did. You all just assumed. Kevin was still standing in the doorway holding his phone like evidence. He said to the room, do you know how much this company sold for? I said, Kevin, don't. He looked at me and nodded. He put his phone away, but the damage was done. Wendy sat down next to me. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because every time I tried, someone made a joke about leftovers or told me to get a real job. After a while, I stopped trying. Ron put his beer down. He opened his mouth. I looked at him. Don't. He closed it. Dinner was quiet. Nobody made jokes. Nobody asked me for anything either, which I expected. They were still processing. Linda swept up the glass and never made eye contact with me again. After dinner, Mom pulled me into the hallway. She was crying. I'm so proud of you. Are you okay? Do you need anything? She always asks that. Every holiday. Every phone call. I said, Mom, I've been okay for a long time. She hugged me and said, I'm sorry I never asked more. Ron left early. Didn't say goodbye. I drove home in my old truck. Nobody asked for leftovers.